This is Ben with RegisteredNurseRN.com, and today I'm going to cover cholinergic urticaria treatments. Now, first of all, I'm not a doctor, and I'm going to talk a lot about treatments in this video, so don't try any treatment ever, or diet change, or exercise change before you talk to a doctor first, okay? Always talk to a doctor and see if it's safe for you specifically. Now, there is no pill that you can just pop in your mouth and you're going to be cured. I wish there was. There's not. As far as I know, there's a lot of creams out there and ebooks and whatever trying to sell you that you can cure your hives and homeopathic remedies. I would recommend to steer clear from this stuff. That's my opinion. I don't think it works. I think a lot of these people are dishonest. Some of them may think they're helping, but in most cases, I've never heard anyone say that they've been significantly helped, or I've not heard enough people say this to convince me that it's true, okay? I've even had people try to promote parasite zappers, like that's going to cure your hives or something, but anyway. I'm just trying to help you out here. I'm going to list the mainstream ways to try to control the symptoms of this type of hives. I currently don't take any treatments for it. Like I said before in some of my other videos and my articles, I've been able to get this completely under control through diet, pretty much alone, and exercise. So I don't have to rely on any treatments. But these, I'll comment on some of these because I've had it for over 12 years and I've used a lot of these treatments. So the first thing I'll cover is non-medical treatments. First of all, you can avoid situations that are going to lead you to an attack. So if you're out on a hot day, you know not to run around like crazy because you're going to develop hives. You know that if you walk into a hot building, there's a chance you may form hives. So avoid situations where you just know it's probably going to break you out. Secondly, you can wear appropriate clothing. I would wear really thin t-shirts. I would wear shorts if possible. And again, that just kind of helps your body remain in a cooler state and prevents your body from getting hotter for a longer period of time. If you do have to wear like a hoodie or something during winter time, try to wear something that zips up or buttons up. So that way, if you walk into a hot building, you can just take the hoodie off without causing a big scene and having to take it over your head and everything. Also, watch out for your diet. If you're eating spicy foods, that's going to cause your hives. So, you don't want to down a bunch of jalapenos if you know you're going to break out in hives. Also, if you know the food causes you any problems, don't eat the food if possible. And again, diet changes, working around foods that I knew were causing me a little bit of immune response, eliminating them out of my diet is the biggest change by far that helped me, and I'll talk a lot about that in another video. You can use mental relaxation or meditation. To me, that stuff never helped. I would try to use the mind over matter thing whenever I was breaking out, but to me, when you're being stung by like 50,000 sensations, it's just impossible for me to not think about it. So if it works for you, good. If not, then oh well. Cooling sprays, there are like a couple of cooling sprays on the market. I think something called Magic Cool that I've seen someone mention. It's like a spray you spray on, you kind of cools your body down. I used to take like a squirt bottle and fill it with cold ice water. Also, you can use like an ice pack. Those things aren't really practical for everyday situations, but depending on like your job or what you do, it could help. You can avoid compounds or drinks or anything that you know causes cholinergic urticaria reactions. Aspirin, for me, I would take Tylenol instead of aspirin if I was ever sick, because aspirin it lets the blood vessels dilate and so forth, so that increases your body temperature a little bit sometimes. And a lot of people, I don't drink alcohol, but a lot of people would notice that if they drink alcohol, their hives would get significantly worse afterwards. If you drink alcohol at all, you might want to cut it out. And in fact, I sort of wonder sometimes if maybe it's the yeast in alcohol. Some people maybe have like a minor yeast intolerance or allergy that's like leading to this hypersensitive reaction even worse. So that's something you definitely want to watch out for. Exercise or sweat therapy, that's something that really a lot of people find a lot of relief with. And the idea here is that you exercise, and a lot of people have hives, so they're like, what, exercise? Well, you exercise, and what happens is sometimes you can go through a reaction, and then your body eventually can begin to sweat, and after the reaction, your body releases histamine, and the idea is that there's this refractory period where for like maybe a day or so, you won't have as much histamine built up in your body, and so it will minimize your symptoms a little bit. Some people have found success with that, so they'll exercise regularly every day or every other day, and get a little relief from that. They'll suffer through an attack, but then after that's over with, they kind of feel better. That's tricky. It doesn't work for everyone, especially if you've got a really severe case of hives. When I had my really severe case, I could not do this. I tried everything. I couldn't do it. When I worked extensively with my diet, I was eventually to the point where I could exercise, and then it helped me. But also, if you're prone to anaphylactic shock or any swelling, your throat swells, you have difficulty breathing when you exercise because of your hives, or if you have another condition like asthma or something, probably wouldn't want to do this. And always talk to your doctor first if you want to try it. They can give you something called an EpiPen too, that if you have a severe allergic reaction, it can help save your life. So that's something you may want to ask about. Again, it's called an EpiPen. Let's see. Okay, now let's talk about medications. First of all, antihistamines. Antihistamines are the most commonly thing prescribed or suggested for a lot of people suffering with this type of hives. They work well for some people, and some people they get little to no relief at all. For me, they would help a little bit, but for the most part they didn't help. The one that worked best for me was Allegra. That's over the counter. You can try like Zyrtec, Claritin, Allegra, Benadryl. For me, Allegra worked the best, but like I said, it didn't stop at 100%. And I didn't take it regularly either because I would always adapt to the antihistamine fairly quickly. So if I took something for a week straight, after a week it would be pretty much useless because my body would adapt to it. So I tried not to take anything regularly for that reason. But you can also combine H1 and H2 antihistamines. Those are two different classes, like the Zyrtec, Claritin, Allegra. Those are one class, and then another class of antihistamine are like Pepcid AC or Zantac. Those are like anti-acid type medications, and those work on the antihistamine receptors differently, or histamine receptors. I'm sorry. But what I would do is I would take like an Allegra, and then 2 hours later I would take like a Pepcid AC, and that did help a little bit more. But I would save that for when I really, really needed it, because it's not something you want to probably do every day, and especially not long term. And I strongly urge you to talk to your doctor before you try anything like that. But that's what I would do, and that's what helped me the most with regards to antihistamines. But they really work different for different people. If you take an Allegra, for example, it does nothing for you. Try Zyrtec. It kind of works a little differently. It may help you out. Anabolic steroids are next. Now, anabolic steroids have been mentioned a couple of times in treatments for this disorder. One of the popular ones is danazol. Now, a lot of the literature I read, it seemed to help some people. Some people they had a relapse afterwards. It's not a mainstream treatment for cholinergic urticaria. I wouldn't recommend you doing it unless your doctor just really urges you or something, but most of them don't. It's got a lot of side effects, as you can imagine. Antihistamines do too, by the way, which, I don't. That's one reason why I also didn't want to take antihistamines, but some of those can have side effects. But anabolic steroids, you can have heart conditions, you can have all sorts of side effects pop up if you take it for over a long period of time, so that's something you want to keep in mind. Corticosteroids are a different class of steroids. These are immune suppressing steroids. They don't build the big muscles like anabolic steroids, but they suppress your immune system. An example would be prednisone. And you don't want to take this unless your doctor recommends it, because even though it can lower your immune response and seem like it's really helping your hives, over the long haul, you just can't take this stuff over the long haul in a lot of cases, because it can lead you to something like more risk of infections and possibly even cancers, things like that. It's not meant to be a long-term treatment, and the only time doctors will generally prescribe this is if you're just having a crazy attack. They may give you this in hopes that it will suppress your immune system a little bit until they can get you into a better treatment option. But I've tried a shot of prednisone, or like a shot of a corticosteroid before. I thought it helped the first time. I tried it again when my hives were at the peak, and it didn't seem to do anything at all. And so I really wouldn't recommend it. It's probably, like I said, it has too many side effects, and it can even have a rebound effect where your hives come back even worse. So unless your doctor really recommends that, I wouldn't recommend you go that route. Beta blockers are something else you can try. These just work on the sympathetic nervous system, and they kind of help relax you a little bit. I've only seen a couple people mention this, but it's not really mainstream. Most people who suffer with this, they don't take beta blockers. I wouldn't recommend it, especially over the long term, but something you could always talk to your doctor about if you wanted to see. It's going to have high side effects, and so you're going to have to look those up and learn what they could be. And those side effects, by the way, are very serious. Any medication, you want to take those side effects seriously. UVB light, that's something that's interesting that some people do. I've seen, and it's not mainstream, again, this isn't mainstream either, but I've seen a couple of people talk about UVB light therapy, and that's where you go. It's kind of like a tanning bed, and you'll go like once or twice a week to a dermatologist, and they give you a high dose of ultraviolet light within a certain range. It's the B wavelengths, and some people get relief from this, but ultimately you have to weigh the risks with the increased risk of skin cancer and skin aging. So to me, it wasn't an option I was interested in, but it's something out there. I'm just trying to be as comprehensive as I can in this video, even though a lot of these treatments I wouldn't recommend. I'm just trying to throw everything out there. Another thing is benzoyl scopolamine, and that's something that has been used. It's an anticholinergic and antispasmodic medication, and that's been applied to the skin sometimes to kind of relax it. I wouldn't recommend it. It seemed like this wasn't a very successful treatment. I've seen one case where it seemed to work and then other cases where it didn't. And again, this is not something that's commonly used at all, but I'm just throwing it out there. Anti-immunoglobulin E therapy. Okay, now this is something that's somewhat interesting, but what this is it works by binding to the immunoglobulin E in the body, and that's responsible for some of the allergic and asthmatic conditions. And some people have tried this, it didn't work. Some people have tried it and it did work a little bit. The problem with this is there's been some controversy that it could lead to cancer, and there's been some speculation that it could cause a significant increased risk of cancer in some people. That's something that I never was interested in, because the way I figure, I'd rather have cholinergic urticaria than cancer. So it's out there, but it's something you can think about. I think it's very expensive too if your insurance doesn't cover it. But again, increased risk of cancer doesn't work for everyone, but it's an option out there. There's also like nerve, anxiety, and neuropathic medicine. We had someone on the forum that took gabapentin, which is like, again, a neurological medication. They seem to receive benefit from it, but then other people on the forum didn't. So it's something that you're going to have to weigh. Personally, I take the stance that I don't want anything messing around with my mind. There's just too much that can happen, and I prefer not to do that. But for some people, it was worth the risk, and it helped some people. Some people it didn't help. Antidepressant medication is another thing you can take. Again, it's just tough to say because some people seem like it helped, but some people didn't. Antidepressants to me are something very serious because you're messing with your mind. In younger people especially, some antidepressants have been linked with increased risk of suicide. And I know that my wife's sister was on antidepressants when she committed suicide. It's not something I really recommend for younger people especially, but you can always talk to your doctor about it. Some antihistamines kind of have antidepressant properties to them as well, or some antidepressants have antihistamine properties as well. So you can kind of get both of them together in one pill, but it's just something you have to be really careful with. I would prefer people just try to find another route, or maybe talk to their doctor about trying what I'm going to say about diet and so forth first, because to me, not taking medication is always the best answer. But anabolic medication, some people talked about, if you have a hidden infection that could be causing your hives, antibiotics could be helpful. But for the most part, antibiotics didn't seem to really help anyone. In fact, some people even thought taking antibiotics may have caused their hives, but I've had some cases where some people tried it and didn't see any relief at all from antibiotics. So antibiotics are not something that's probably going to be helpful to you at all with this, unless it's being caused by an infection. Antifungal medications. There is a condition that's sort of similar to cholinergic urticaria, and it's a type of fungal infection. And it can possibly help with that if that's the cause of your itching. But cholinergic urticaria itself, I actually did take something that was like an anti-yeast medication, but it didn't help me at all. So the only way an antifungal is probably going to help you is if you have an active fungal infection in your body, and that's what was causing it. So in most cases, it's not going to help you, in other words, but it's something I'll throw out there. There are some anti-itch lotions or creams out there, like Gold Bond medicated powder, or like there's something called Sarna, I believe, that's a little bit stronger anti-itch lotion. Those never really helped me. That was one of the first things I was prescribed. I tried it, it didn't help me, but you can always try it. It might lessen your symptoms a little bit, but I wouldn't look for anything great. And I use Eucerin calming cream, and it's not got an anti-itch property, but it's a really thick lotion that really is creamy, and to me it really helps keep my skin a lot better. I don't have stock, I'm not affiliated with the company, but I do use it. I buy it off Amazon.com, usually like a 2-pack. It's about $8 or $9 a bottle, and it lasts me about half a month to a month for each bottle, so I think it's good stuff. And it kind of makes your skin feel better, but it's not going to stop your hives. And again, Candida cleanses, or Candida or Candida, however you want to pronounce it. People talk about those cleanses, acupuncture, cold cleanses, herbal remedies, parasite zappers. This stuff's garbage. I mean, I'm telling you, that's just my opinion on it. Go talk to a doctor, not like a homeopath person. Talk to a real doctor if you're wanting to try medication. I've tried, and I know that a lot of people on the forum have tried this junk. It's just a waste of money. These people are going to tell you, oh, it's the answer, and they're going to make a really convincing sales page. I don't buy it. I've got scammed before. I've tried a lot of things over the past 12 years in my desperate attempt to try to cure myself. If it helped, I would tell you. To me, it doesn't help, so I wouldn't recommend messing with any of it. All right, so I try to keep it as quick as possible. Those are the most mainstream treatments. So I'll put out some more videos to tell you some more, but that's all I have. Thanks for watching.